Hi, welcome to another episode of Bethany Talks About Stuff. I'm your host, Bethany F. DeVores, author of the Sea Adrasian Chronicles, as always available from Amazon. And today I have my friend Sage back with me. Say hello.
Hello.
And I asked Sage to come back on this show, and would you like to say a little bit about yourself for people who haven't seen you before?
Sure. So I'm a youth pastor at the church Bethany also attends. Been there for like 5-ish years, a little more than that, and big video game guy.
And in case you couldn't tell, that's what we're talking about today. Video games, which is why we have that nonsense going on back there. Ta-da! We wanted to talk about our favorite video games, and this will be my first episode that actually talks about video games, so I'm really excited. I am a video game-aholic, and while I'm not the kind of hardcore gamer that is really great about all the stats for like all the weapons and the armor and stuff, I pay attention some, but I'm not super math oriented. I get very serious about how much I like my video games. So I thought it'd be fun to do that, and I know that Sage is a gamer, so we are going to talk about our top 5 favorite games, and then we have a couple of our, ones we don't like. Just a couple of those. So what would you say are some of the gaming styles that you like? Like, are you an RPG person, first-person shooter? Are you all about the story, all about the gameplay, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've played a lot. I've played sports games. I've played RPGs, first-person shooters. Like, you name it, and in a certain style, I've probably played it. Even those like, what are they like Heavy Rain? Do you remember that?
I know of it.
Where it was like all quick time events, like the whole game, but it's like super.
Like a Telltale game.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But it was like all of that, and you can kind of control the story. There were different endings you can get for different characters.
Like
it was really cool.
Yeah.
It was a really cool game.
Yeah. I can appreciate almost any style of game if it's done well.
Yeah.
And again, if it's got a good story. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like any games that don't have a good story, but then they better have really good gameplay, to make up for not having a good story. And that does happen for sure.
Yeah.
But I usually like a good story. But
you big battle royale person?
I don't play online much. So Sage is laughing about this because when I first got Red Dead Redemption 2, they were still doing the beta testing for the Red Dead Online. And I hadn't played online in a long time. The last time I played online was with Borderlands and Borderlands 2. I had a group of friends that I would play online with all the time. So it's the same few people. We were very comfortable. We had our strategies. It was a lot of fun. But I met them by playing online. And I used to actually be a member of a gaming clan. Did I ever tell you that?
No.
Oh,
That's
yeah. Cool. Back in the day when I was still doing my big, heavy PC gaming, I was a member of a gaming clan. I won't name, because I don't know how they feel about my conservative slant. But, and that was so long ago. But I loved that, and we had so much fun. And, yeah, there were jerks, but, I had my group of friends, so if somebody started to be a jerk, we all kind of surrounded each other, So I decided, I haven't done this in a long time. I'm going to give it a try. I played the beta version of Red Dead Online for about an hour and said, I am done. I'm never playing online again. People are jerks, and this is a dumpster fire. I was so mad. These, 3 guys sounded like maybe older teenagers, like 17, 18. They literally, one of them said, I just want to ruin your online gaming experience. And I hate to admit, but he was actually successful because I just went, forget it. I'm just going to go back to the regular game. It's not going to stop gaming, but I just didn't want to. So Sage is trying to convince me that the Red Dead Online features are better now. That you can weed them out and play. So I might try again. Nobody get too excited because I get a lot of, why don't you get online and play with me? And I'm like, it's nothing personal. I kind of like to play video games by myself. I don't mind being in a room by myself, but when I'm playing, I don't want to I'm so selfish. I'm I don't want to have to worry about whether your character's living or dying. I don't care. I got to focus on the story and what's happening. So we'll see.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's better.
I guess. I really will probably give it a try. So I trust Sage's opinion. So
I'm always right. That's good.
I no longer trust Sage's opinion, but okay. So, we'll go with it. I tried to play Fallout 4.
You're not a big Fallout fan, though.
I wanted to like it
Mm-hmm.
because Henry Cavill liked it. And he's a big PC gamer. So I was like, well, if Henry Cavill likes it, I'm going to give it a try.
It's so good.
I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another try.
It's so good. I have a buddy who it was a wedding gift for me that he gave me.
Happy wedding.
Yeah.
Here's something your husband's going to use in your ride.
Kim was like, thanks.
I could see Kim's face too.
She played it for like 10 minutes. She's not
really a gamer,
no,
is she?
No.
Yeah.
It's funny, like she'll play it, like she's played Call of Duty and stuff, and she's just like, you know. It was actually my first PlayStation 2 game. I didn't even know what it was. My dad just bought it because the commercial looked cool. And I was like, all right, cool. And it was incredible.
Yeah, that comes up on a lot of lists.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people speak very highly of the Metal Gear's Solid games.
Have you played them?
Not a one.
They're
Not
so
a one.
good.
They look interesting.
They're so good. Like gameplay wise, especially at the time, like it was huge at the time, Metal Gear 2.
Well, and if I'm understanding, like they had kind of epic stories too.
Yes.
Which was kind of a big thing.
Yes.
For the genre. So.
And we called it movie Gear Solid because the cutscenes there would be like 10, 12 hours of cutscenes through the whole game,
Yeah.
And then like the actual game itself.
But that's like normal now, but it wasn't back then.
Not then.
That was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It
All
was
right.
great.
So what we got after Metal Gear?
Last of Us #1 was the last of my honorable mentions. That game, everything about it was good. Gameplay was good. Like there was character development, which doesn't always happen in video games.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
What a thrill.
My number 5 is Metal Gear Solid 3, and I fought of which one was better, 2 or 3. 3 just had the added stealth aspect because they're primarily stealth games.
Yeah. Oh. I will never play these.
Okay.
Stealth is not my strong point in a game.
And number 3 was cool because it was set in like the 60s. So like America, Russia, Cold War stuff's going on and very evident in the game. So if you like that stuff, it's cool. And there's so much. Like you have to change your camouflage based on what's around you. Like you go into the menu and change clothes to hide
so
from
you can
people
blend
better.
in better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have a little percentage at the top of the screen. It's like how well blended in you are.
See, I've played games where that was a portion of the game.
I mean,
but
you can go guns blazing, and I often did. But then you have to like get animals and eat them, and you can throw snakes on people.
No, that sounds
It was fun.
pretty fun.
It was fun.
All right.
Good time. Okay. To move on, because I could talk about it all day. Then Red Dead Redemption 2, which is right.
So I'm gonna
Over
hop
there.
into this. Yeah, I'm doing it right. Yeah, I'm gonna hop on with that. I'm gonna let you talk about it first, but that's on my list as well.
Yeah. So I mean, I played some today.
I've played it through. I think all the way through 4 or 5 times now.
Okay.
Through the main story, and I usually, if I'm playing through the main story, will do most of the side quests.
Yeah.
I do most of them.
Are you a completionist? I know you're a completionist.
I am to an extent.
Yeah.
I will get to a certain point where I'm like, that's complete for me, because I am not going to, like, you have some achievements for Red Dead Redemption 2 that are online achievements, and because I've been like, I'm not playing online, I'm like, I'll do everything except for the online achievement.
Well, here you go.
So we'll see.
Here you go.
But yeah, I like to. I will almost always do all the objectives, but I might not always worry about the behind the scenes achievements, like the game achievements.
Right.
Like the achievement you get in the first Red Dead Redemption for putting somebody on the train tracks. and having them hit by. It does have to be a prostitute, doesn't it? Do you know the achievement I'm talking about?
Wait, hold on.
There's an achievement in the first Red Dead Redemption that you get for. It's not an objective. It's an achievement.
Right.
For putting a prostitute, hog tying them,
Oh,
and putting them
I
on
see.
the
Yeah,
train tracks and
okay.
the train run over them.
Yeah. You said you wouldn't do that?
No, I totally did that.
Oh, okay.
I actually got that one by accident. And I was like, oh.
Oh,
because
oops.
she tried to steal my horse.
Oh, yeah. Totally justified.
I mean, I wasn't trying to make any kind of...
Is that the biggest thing missing from the first Red Dead to the second Red Dead Redemption, is that they don't explode when they get hit by a train anymore?
You know, I haven't actually had anybody run over by a train in Red Dead 2.
Oh. Me neither.
I totally do all that stuff, y'all. I'm not even pretending like I don't. Like, that's part of the fun. My friend, my close friend, I try not to use people's names outside of who's on here, but my good friend and my former roommate was like, what are you doing? Because she would walk in the living room and I'd be playing, I'd be like throwing somebody off a cliff or tying them up and pushing them into the water so they drown. And she was like, and I'm like, I'm not going to do this stuff in real life.
Yeah.
This is an outlet, right? And that person tried to steal my horse. Don't try to take my horse.
Did that to a bounty hunter today.
Well, they're in the wrong line of business
Yeah. It's dangerous work.
in that game, anyway. You tied them out and threw them in the...
Yeah.
Have you fed them to the alligators?
Yes.
Okay, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a sequel to the original Red Dead Redemption. And it's set in the Old West, but it's kind of like the sunset of the Old West. The first Red Dead Redemption. And they talk about, the main character is John Marston in the first one, and he talks about how he'd been in a gang previously, and he and his wife had left that life and tried to go straight. And government officials have come and said, we need you to go after your former gang members. And they basically are holding his wife and son hostage. And that's the premise of the whole first game. So the second game is actually a prequel. And I'm not a huge fan of prequels, but this was actually done
Well done.
so well.
Well
so
done.
it is actually the time during the... He's not the main character of this one, but he is in it. And it's during the time of that gang, when he was with the gang. And so it's kind of what happened to the gang, how they fell apart, how they went their separate ways. And the main character's name is Arthur Morgan. And I just fell in love with Arthur Morgan.
What a guy.
Like...
What a guy.
Yeah, I just love that character so much. And there's some real tugging of heartstrings in both games.
Yeah.
And the company Rockstar that did the Red Dead Redemption games also did the GTA games, the Grand Theft Auto games.
They were all, if we were going to do franchises, that was going to be one of mine.
Was it? I haven't played any of the Grand Theft Auto games.
Oh, man.
Not a one.
I've played a lot.
So it just kind of surprised me, though, that from the reputation of the Grand Theft Auto games, that the Red Dead Redemption games would have so much heart. But in fairness, I haven't played any of the GTA games, so I mean, they might have more heart than I realize. I just haven't played them. But Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2 are probably two of the best games ever, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I can see why it made your list.
Yeah.
So
I mean, everything about it is good.
yeah, you just cannot go wrong with Red Dead 2.
There's a great story and it's long.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a short, quick game.
So one of the great things about Red Dead 2, and at first I didn't think it was one of the great things. Okay, so at the end of Red Dead Redemption, the first one, how spoilerific should I go here?
Of the first Red Dead?
I mean, it's been like, what?
It's like a 12-year-old game.
Yeah,
or more.
it's really old. So spoilers, I'll put
If you haven't
something
played
in
it
the,
yet, it's your fault.
I'll put something in the show notes to say there are spoilers about all these games. So if we start talking about a game you don't want spoiled, start skipping ahead. But in the first Red Dead Redemption, at the end, John Marston sacrifices himself to save his wife and son. And it's very poignant. And I think everybody who's ever played that game ever, it gives you the thought, it makes you think, I can beat this. Like, you come out of a barn,
It does.
there are all these cops, all these...
army.
Basically, standing out there, and it goes into the Deadeye function, which allows you to slow everything down, or you could tag targets, and then you shoot, So it makes you think you're going to get out of this. No. I like reloaded that game. I'm not kidding, like 15 times. Because I was like, this cannot be right. But he dies. There's no
Can't get
way.
around
You
it.
cannot survive it. That game is meant for him to die there. And then you play the rest of the game, which is actually not very long. You have like one major
Right.
objective. You play as his son several years later, who's now a grown man, and the wife has died, and you are out for revenge. So you play Jack Marston, who everybody hates, by the way, and you go after the guy who killed his dad.
Yeah.
And then that's how the game ends. And you can continue to play. It's an open world game, so you can continue to play as Jack, but nobody likes to play as Jack. I don't like to play as Jack. Do you like to play as Jack?
I was fine with it, but I was mostly just mad that John died.
I just wanted to drown Jack. Like, I didn't like him very much. He was so whiny.
He was kind of whiny.
So, and then in Red Dead 2, now this one I'll be a little, I mean, that's still pretty old too now.
I mean, it's like, if you haven't played it, it's your fault.
Yeah. So, Arthur Morgan ends up also kind of sacrificing himself. He's sick, so he's going to die anyway,
Yeah.
but he probably would have had a little more time. But he kind of sacrifices himself to save John Marston. So
And depending on your honor, like, the death is better or worse.
So this game I got really lucky that I played with high honor, and so I got the good ending. What I think is the good ending for Arthur Morgan. But the first time I played Witcher 3, I didn't realize this was a thing. And while it wasn't about honor, it was still about the choices you made. And I picked choices that led to a really bad ending. And I was like, this game sucks. I was so mad because I didn't know there were other endings. I thought that was just the ending, like Red Dead Redemption. So, but yeah, Arthur's going to die regardless, but you can, based on choices you make, there are basically 4 endings that can happen.
Yeah.
There's two places that ending can happen, and then different events depending on your honor level. After that, though, you can play as John Marston. And the fun thing about this, and I think everybody was shocked, is it's listed as an epilogue. And it goes on for
It's so long.
hours.
It's so long.
It's like almost a mini game attached to the Red Dead 2. It is the longest epilogue of anything I've ever seen forever, and it's good.
Yeah.
Like, at first I was annoyed, like, can we just get through this? And then I got really into it. But it has the second best song
Yes.
in a video game.
Yes.
When John Marston is building his house. The house building
Love
song
it.
is wonderful.
I
It's
love
so
it.
much fun.
I thought it was weird because, like, this is this is good.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
good.
Well, and the first Red Dead, we're spending a lot of time on
We
Red
are.
Dead Redemption,
We
but
are.
the first one had this great moment where you go into Mexico and it plays Far Away by Jose Gonzalez,
Oh, yeah.
and it is a fantastic song.
It's just cool.
It is a really cool moment. You're just riding your horse through Mexico to this song, and it's so great. And then, you know, when he's finally reunited with his wife, there's another song.
Yeah.
Compass is the name of that song.
Okay.
But I am blanking on the name of the group. I am so sorry. But it's as also a fantastic song and a great moment. But in the next one, they kind of even improved on that. And I didn't know you could. Like, they have a song by Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm like playing along, and it kind of takes over to a cutscene, and the song is playing, and I'm like, is that Willie Nelson? Yeah. It really was Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
They had this great song called Unshaken.
Yeah.
And Unshaken was really singable, and it was a different genre that you wouldn't have expected at that moment.
Right.
And it just worked. So they just did.
Like-
It's probably should have been our number ones. I don't know. It was so good. It was so
Well,
good.
my number one I've spent considerable more time on.
Oh, okay.
All right, so my number 3 is Resident Evil 4.
Resident Evil 4.
Which I haven't played that much of the Resident Evil series. I think this is the only game of the Resident Evil series I played from beginning to end.
Very popular.
What?
The Resident Evil games are very popular.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, people really love them.
They're really good.
I don't like scary games, so
I don't handle them well, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I don't.
But I probably played through, like, that came out when I was in middle school. Sorry. And I probably played through it
So
like
old.
15 times.
A good game. I'll do it. I will play a game over and over and over again if it's good.
It had replay value. And it was just cool. Like, looking back, some of the characters were annoying. Like, and it's cliche because you're going to rescue the president's daughter, which, like, of course you are. And
Why not?
why not? But there's, I think, 3 different main areas of the game, and they were all unique and really cool. Like, there was a village, and then there was a castle, which I love the castle so much. And then there was like this industrial island that you get to trying to find her. There's just really cool boss fights and stuff. But my number 2 is Fallout 3. And my junior year of high school, I remember it vividly. There's this sound when you pull up VATS, which is it's the targeting system of the game that you it just like it stops the game basically, and you can pick where you want to shoot. Mm-hmm. It gives you percentages of your chances of hitting that spot on someone, and it makes a sound when you zoom into it. And if you've played it, you know the sound. But I played this game so much that I was hearing it like in school through the day.
I've totally done that.
Like,
not with that game, obviously, since I didn't like the Fallout series, but I have totally done that, where I'm like, I'm hearing that.
right.
Yeah.
And this was my first, and honestly, it was my first real, like, RPG experience. I think it came out like 2007-ish.
That sounds right.
But playing it, and it just blew my mind. Like, at first I was lost. I was like, how do you play, what do you do?
Yeah, it doesn't give you, like, I played Fallout 3 as well.
Yeah.
I didn't finish either 1, 3, or 4, but I think it was part of my problem, too, is it really doesn't give you very clear guidance.
No.
And at least in the beginning. Like, I don't want a game that gives me a tutorial through the whole game. That annoys the snot out of me. But at least in the beginning, give me a little heads up of what I'm supposed to be doing. And I think I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more if I'd had that.
Probably.
So, but
Probably.
yeah. Also a very popular game. No
really
big
good.
surprises here, really.
No, not really. And number 1 is not a big surprise, but Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim.
Skyrim is also on my
Right
list.
there.
I'm trying not to sing the theme song.
Like,
Ah, ah, ah.
but like that's part of it. The soundtrack was incredible.
It was. I listen to it while I'm writing sometimes still.
Yeah.
Like, and I have all these ambient videos that I listen to during the day when I'm working, like on YouTube or whatever.
Like when you go to the little inns and stuff.
Yeah, well, like there's some you can find. There are some great YouTubers who've done all these ambient videos, but have taken just like the background stuff, like just like a town, and you can see the people kind of just milling around, and they've got the music and the ambient noise.
Yeah.
So it really is just ambience.
I've probably put over 1,000 hours into that game.
It's my 4.
Number 4, wow.
And Red Dead Redemption 2 is number 3.
Okay.
So, but yeah, hours and hours and hours on Skyrim. I mean, and you know how I started playing Skyrim? I have not played any of the other Elder Scroll games. Mm-hmm. But I had several friends telling me, you would really like Skyrim. You love the medieval stuff. Mm-hmm. You love fantasy. Yeah, and this is a really fun game. And that is actually, I think, the first real open world game other than Red Dead Redemption that I had ever played. Which Red Dead Redemption is an open world game. It's not quite as interactive as Skyrim.
No.
Where Red Dead 2 is kind of that kind of interaction. So like in Skyrim you can create potions, you can cook food. Like if you see a cup on a table, you can pick it up, you know, and then drop it, because that's usually all I could ever actually do with the objects.
I really liked like picking stuff up and it would be like a big cauldron or something and try to put it on someone's head, like an NPC's head.
I was always just trying to get it back on the doggone table. Like, okay, I'm going to I knocked that off the table and I just want to put it back on the table, because even though it's a game, my house needs to be straight, unlike my real house. So I would be like, you pick it up and it automatically starts to turn though. And I'm like, stop turning over! You know, but yeah. Yeah, but Skyrim is great. It's got all the elements that you would expect somebody who likes fantasy to like. You know, there are dragons, there's magic, there's civil war in this fantasy kingdom, and I mean, it's just really cool stuff. Have you been able to play it through without, like, win against Alduin without choosing sides in the Civil War?
No.
It is possible.
I've always chosen side, but I've always wanted to choose a side.
I mean, I've done it.
Yeah.
And I've played it through.
You've done both?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm a completionist in this way too. Well, I won't go back and replay a game with evil honor. Like, I don't just go, well, I got to play evil this time just so I can. I don't do that. But I will sometimes make the evil choice just randomly because it's fun. But I like, if there's choices like this, like in Skyrim, at some point you can choose to either join the Stormcloaks or the Imperials, right? The Imperials. Mm-hmm. And you have to pick. Once you start down a certain path, you have to pick. Now, you can play the main campaign, which is to fight the dragons, without picking, but most people don't know that. I actually learned that online.
Okay.
I can't say that I found that out myself. I just saw like an article and somebody was like, how to do this without picking sides, and I was like, what?
That's interesting.
So I've played it once through picking the Stormcloaks, once through picking the Imperials, and since then, every other time, I've played through without picking a side. Neat. Now, after you beat it, you can still go pick a side.
Okay.
And then still complete those quests.
Which side did you like better? Who did you find yourself agreeing with more?
I have gone back and forth. Now, initially, I was like, I'm American, okay? So, Stormcloaks. So I was like, fight the power.
Yeah.
Like,
tell me what to do.
Rebel, you know? But then, I will say, I had kind of a change of heart.
Okay.
Because I was like, Ulfric is kind of a jerk.
A little bit.
And I'm like, he's getting a lot of people killed. And, you know, like, I still believe in all those values, but at the same time, Ulfric's just kind of a D-bag.
A little bit.
So, you know, so I'm like, well, I'm with the Imperials. And then I was so happy to find out you could finish the main game without picking a side. Mm-hmm. Like I said, and actually, now I just don't ever go back and pick a side.
Oh, okay.
I do all the other stuff.
I love the quest line where you're like going and taking over little castles and stuff.
Yeah, I mean it is so fun to do.
It's just so fun.
It is fun to do, but I really, I will say the one part I don't like, but I always still do it, is I'm not crazy about the Dark Brotherhood.
Oh yeah.
Although, it's kind of fun to some
extent. Quest line.
But I always feel a little guilty because the Dark Brotherhood is literally a group of assassins, and you take on contracts to kill people. You don't know whether they deserve it or not. It doesn't matter. You take on a contract, you go kill them.
I saw a thing the other day that what's the spell where it shows you the path, clairvoyance, where it shows you the pathway. Yes. When you're in that shack, when you first get abducted by the Dark Brotherhood, and they said you have to kill one of these people. One of them did something wrong. Right,
and it doesn't tell you who has done something truly wrong or not. You just have to pick one.
If you use clairvoyance, it shows you which one.
No.
Yeah.
Because I've always thought there really was no wrong answer.
I mean, there really isn't, and
you can kill any. They have 3 people there, and the leader is like, okay, well, I'm not gonna let you out of the shack until you kill one of them, and there's a contract for one of them, and you have to figure out which one, and so it does not actually matter which one you kill.
I mean, I usually just kill all 3 of them.
They can't know what happened.
Yeah.
They know too much now.
They know too much.
So, but if you don't kill all 3 of them, you can kill any one of them, and it's going to be the same result. Mm-hmm. So that's why I thought there really is no wrong answer, and I guess there truly isn't, because you get the same result no matter what. But that's interesting that clairvoyance will show you which one to go to. I wonder if. Who knows? Interesting game mechanic.
It's just cool.
Yeah, but Skyrim is just such a fantastic game. So I bought Skyrim particularly specifically for my 24-hour gaming marathon one year. Like, it had been out for several years. It wasn't anything new, but I just wanted a new game to me to play. And at first I was like, this needs to pick up a little bit. Like, that vanilla opening is so boring. It takes a hot minute to get going, and then the game really picks up. But I also like that Skyrim is one of the few games you can actually mod on a console.
Yes.
So most games can only be modded on PC. But Bethesda did a really good job there with Skyrim. That you can actually download mods. So.
Fallout 4 too.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Well, they're both Bethesda games.
Maybe Fallout 4 wouldn't be as bad with a couple of mods. I'm just saying. So now there's one mod. I won't even play Skyrim without it because there are some. If you haven't played Skyrim, I mean, I realize it's been a long time, but you know, people do what they do. Make sure you get that one patch that fixes everything. Do you know what I'm talking about?
What do you mean?
There are all these glitches in the main game, even in the deluxe edition or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And like I had the Battle of Whiterun just would never end.
Oh, really?
The music, the fight music would never stop. Even though I'd beaten it,
Yeah.
and it showed it as cleared and everything, the music would never stop, and it was like I was in combat mode. I couldn't fast travel anywhere.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was like stuck. And come to find out, that's like a known bug. Well, there's a mod out there that will fix stuff like that.
I never had that bug.
You always have that first in your mods. But I finally just turned the music off.
Oh,
So
okay.
like, I cannot take the fight music
Yeah.
one more second. So I left all the ambient stuff up and turned the music off. And I was like, so, yeah. I finally quit. I quit on that playthrough. Because I was like, I can't take this.
Can't handle it.
Yeah.
There's a fun mod where it's a better Civil War and more skirmishes and battles that are just in random spots. Now,
I think I've seen that.
don't start it from the very beginning, because when you're leaving Helgen and you're running away and you don't have anything,
Oh, they start fighting you right then?
they're chasing you, both sides. Like they fight each other, and then whoever's left, they just come after you. And you're just trying to get away. It's like a level 1. Completely broke it. Completely broke it.
Mods can go wrong.
How many of your builds just fell into a stealth archer?
Almost all of them.
All of them? Yeah.
I will admit. Okay, so the first time I played through, not at all. I
Okay.
didn't even hardly ever use the bow and arrow.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm not super adventurous at first. I'm like, I have a sword, I'm going to chop stuff. And then the second time I played through, I'm like, I'm going to try the bow. And then I will say, I don't like stealth in a lot of games, but yeah, I do stealth archery
so
in
handy.
Skyrim. It's so much easier. I'm not going to lie.
It's so satisfying to one-shot somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that was your number 1, right?
That was my number 1.
That was awesome. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, let me do my list, which will be shorter because we have overlap.
Right.
So I will do your method, and I will start with my honorable mentions.
Mm-hmm.
And my first one is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Oh, good one.
That was a
one.
great game. Like, I played all the Legends of Zelda through a certain point. Like, once they started getting onto Wii and stuff, I really didn't. But I played, the first one, the second one, Majora's Mask, and Ocarina of Time. And I think that's kind of where I stopped.
Okay.
But that was a magnificent game. It was so good. I liked Majora's Mask, too, actually. Yeah. But I didn't like it as much as Ocarina of Time. But I will say, I believe it was Ocarina of Time that had that water temple.
Yes.
That was before the internet was as easy to navigate
Right.
as it is now.
Right.
But I'm not gonna lie, I actually found an online walkthrough. Now back then, the walkthrough was actually a Word file manual, and it was like 80 pages, and I printed that bad boy out.
Hey.
Because you couldn't just go through it either.
Right.
Like you could download the file, and that was it. So once I downloaded it, I was having trouble finding it, so I just printed the whole thing out. Yep, and sat there until I found the part with the water temple, and that's how I got through the water temple.
Nice.
This is the very first time I ever used like a walkthrough for a game ever. So,
Nice.
and that was just, if you've ever played any of the Legend of Zelda, I like the fantasy genre, obviously, since that's what I write. So obviously I tend to like games like that too. And I loved Little Link,
Yeah.
so cute. Okay, my other honorable mention would be Wolfenstein 3D. And I like the Wolfenstein series, but Wolfenstein 3D has a special place in my heart because it was one of the very first real first-person shooters I latched onto.
Okay.
And I loved that game.
I haven't played it.
I should have been fired so many times because I started playing it at when I worked at a nuclear pharmacy. We had a significant amount of downtime between the first run and the second run over the lunch break. And we'd all take turns going and playing on the one PC we had that had games on it. We'd play Wolfenstein 3D and Heretic. Did you
Oh,
remember
yeah. I know Heretic. Yeah.
We played Heretic and Doom. We had Doom on that computer too.
Man, that would have been a good one for my list.
Yeah. My number 5 of my actual list, and I'm doing least to best,
Okay.
would be the original Medal of Honor.
Oh, yeah.
Like back in the day when it was still about World War II, that was some really fun gameplay.
Like when you're jumping on Normandy,
Mm-hmm.
beach at Normandy. Yeah.
Yep. It had some, and I will say I'd actually like to do a whole different show just about video game music. At some
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Because Medal of Honor had some of the best video game music, especially up to that point, that I had ever heard. And I'm not talking about like we enjoyed the songs worked into Red Dead Redemption,
Mm-hmm.
Red Dead Redemption 2, but I'm talking about the actual score.
Yeah.
And I actually had the CD, because I had it as a PC game, and the CD actually had the soundtrack on it too.
That's cool.
So I would just listen to the music. I would write to that, and I would just
cool.
listen to it. It just was great. And I loved the World War II theme. That's what I liked about Wolfenstein. And so as those games progressed and started to leave the World War II genre, I liked them less and less.
Well, they were kind of the catalyst for World War II genre.
Medal of Honor
First
kicked it
person.
off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then Call of Duty jumped on, and it seemed like every game was, and then, then it eventually moved on.
And I will tell you and I don't know how old you were when all that was happening, but
I played them. Yeah.
when Medal of Honor and Call of Duty were both out, like early on,
Mhm.
there was kind of a rivalry.
Yeah.
Like either you liked Medal of Honor or you liked Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And you weren't allowed to like both of them.
No, you couldn't. And I was a Medal of Honor guy.
I was a Medal of Honor
I had that
person.
one, and I had was it Pacific?
Oh,
There
yes.
was the Pacific Theater one.
Yes.
I had that
Did
one
that
too.
not like break your heart?
Yes.
Like my ex-husband and I played that one together, and he's a big World War II buff as well. And we both we actually cried
Man.
watching the Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Like as we were playing it, and
It
then
was
it goes
gnarly.
to like a cutscene. We were just like, I mean, it was just crazy. It was good. It was so good.
It was really good.
That was a great series of games, and Call of Duty kind of overtook it.
It did.
And it kept going. And I think you can get some other Medal of Honor. And they tried to kind of keep up by doing
They did a
modern
PS3 game.
warfare kind of games. But those original Medal of Honor games, there was that one. There was Frontline, I think, or Front.
I think that was the original.
No, there was just a Medal of Honor.
Okay.
And then there was the Pacific one, and then there was like,
There was European Assault.
yes,
I had that one too.
That's what I'm thinking about. I think there was one more that was World
Okay.
War II based that was about front lines or something. I'm sorry.
No.
I actually even think I have it downstairs, the Xbox 360 version of it. But I can't remember. But those games were amazing.
They were really good.
Now, I did like the Call of Duty games. Like, after I finally got past we have to pick one, and I finally started playing Call of Duty, I liked Call of Duty, but I have a special place in my heart for the Medal of Honor games. So, that's my number 5.
Good one.
Number 4 was Skyrim.
Hey, you're finally awake.
Number 3 was Red Dead Redemption 2. And I put / Red Dead Redemption 1 or Red Dead Redemption because they kind of are almost like one long game.
Yeah.
But I went back, I gotta tell you what I did. I played Red Dead Redemption 2, so I played them in chronological order. And then I went and played Red Dead Redemption. It's extremely frustrating
Yeah.
because the game controls and gameplay is so much better in Red Dead Redemption 2. So when you go back
Yeah.
to Red Dead Redemption, it's frustrating. Like, it's not unplayable, but I was like, I can't do this, and I can't do that, and I got real frustrated. I'm like, what is the point of picking all these flowers if I can't do anything with them?
Yeah.
Like, in the second one, you can actually make things with
Right.
the stuff you pick. In the first
Right.
one, it's like you just collect them so you can have an achievement.
Yeah.
But it was still fun. It was still fun to do it.
It was.
So my number, what did I say? 3?
That was number 3.
So my number 2 was Borderlands 2.
So, you want to hear another story, huh? One where the very fate of Pandora hangs in the balance? If not, too bad. I'm telling you anyway.
And I struggled with this because I really struggled between Borderlands and Borderlands 2. Because Borderlands was so good, but the story was so much better in Borderlands 2. And the gameplay was better in Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
All the things that made Borderlands a little bit difficult, they did so much better with Borderlands 2. Like picking up ammo was so much simpler. Like mechanics. They really improved mechanics a lot. And then you actually had characters that you liked and enjoyed and got to know, whereas in the first one you really didn't know much about anybody, and it was kind of mysterious. They never really explained much.
Yeah.
But it was a really, really fun game.
It was.
So and it started that franchise and set in motion a lot of fun gameplay. So Borderlands 2 is great. I've played, as far as I know, I've played every iteration of Borderlands available at this point. Borderlands 2, Borderlands the pre-sequel. I've played the Telltale game, and I've played Borderlands 3.
Okay. I haven't played the Telltale or 3.
Telltale, you haven't played 3 yet?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought you had. Well, the Telltale game is fantastic.
Okay.
Like, everybody went crazy for the not the Game of Thrones, the Walking Dead Telltale game. But a lot of people who've played the Borderlands say the Borderlands is just as good.
Okay, cool.
In a different way.
Yeah.
Because it's less morbid. but
Right.
but it's really good. And then there are some tie-ins from the Telltale game in Borderlands 3.
Oh, cool.
So I will say, though, Borderlands 3 was a little disappointing. I didn't like some of the choices they made with some of the storylines and the characters. But I don't want to spoil it for you because that is actually still relatively new, and I won't spoil it for viewers either. But it is still worth playing.
Okay.
It's worth playing. The mechanics are great. Some of the things that they fail with the storyline, they make up for it in really great gameplay. Lots of fun guns. Lots of good mechanics and some fun characters. So, and some really cool landscapes. So it's worth playing. It's worth playing. I don't want to discourage anybody from playing it, but it's not as strong as Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 just had so much heart. And the DLCs for Borderlands 2 were amazing. They were really good. So, I think Borderlands 3 so far, their DLCs have been okay. Like, I haven't gotten the same kind of thrill. Like, a lot it's going to be hard to beat something like Mr. Torque's Crater of Bad Attitude. I'm trying to say it in a G-rated way. His BA Crater of Beatitude.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Was so much fun. It was hilarious. And then the Tiny Tina's, what is it called? But it's her Dungeons and Dragons.
Right.
Like her tabletop game.
Yeah.
DLC was so much fun. Did you see they're making that into like its own game?
No.
Yeah. So like the next version or next iteration of the Borderlands franchise is going to be a game based on the tabletop game from
cool.
Borderlands 2.
That's cool.
So I think that's actually good. They're kind of, some of the charm from Borderlands 2 is lost in Borderlands 3.
Oh.
So it looks to me like this is a way to kind of get some of that charm
Okay.
back. So I think that's a good play on behalf of the Borderlands franchise. Borderlands 2 was just amazing.
What a good game.
Even now, even though the mechanics are better in Borderlands 3, I'll still go back and play Borderlands 2 sometimes just because it's so much fun and the characters are so much fun. So, my number 1, which probably won't surprise too many people, is Witcher 3.
Witcher 3, yeah.
Now,
That one.
yeah, that one. I love Geralt so much.
What's your crest? Speak!
Name's Geralt. No crest, no motto, no plumed helmet even. I'm a witcher.
Like, and I did not think I was going to. So Witcher 3 is a game that I started playing, and I like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. I was like, this is too hard, and I quit. And I had a couple of friends that were like, I'm telling you, Bethany, you need to give it another try. You got to get in there. And I'm so glad I did. I have been so addicted to that game. I'm playing through it again right now, by the way.
Of course you are.
I just finished the main game. And Witcher 3. Now, I like the DLCs for the Borderlands franchise, particularly for Borderlands 2. But I have never played an expansion pack I liked as much as Blood and Wine for Witcher 3. In fact, I almost like the expansion pack better than the main game, which I love. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So there's so much to like about Witcher 3. I never played Witcher 2, and I did go back and try to play Witcher 2. I, of course, never played Witcher, the first one, but because that was kind of during my not gaming time. But Witcher 2, I did buy it later and try to play it. I'm like, I can't. I just can't. Witcher 3 is so much better. So the mechanics are a little wonky to learn at first, but once you learn them, you're like, oh, this is cool.
Okay.
I can do some fun stuff. Like, but it takes a while to get used to those mechanics. But the beginning, buyer beware of this. If you're going to play Witcher 3 and you haven't played it before, and Witcher's very popular right now because of the show, which you can't see. I've got posters for the show and everything around.
She does like Witcher 3.
I really do like Witcher 3. And I like the Netflix show, even though I felt like there was some unnecessary stuff in there. The game is just so drab and depressing in the beginning. It's really slow and depressing. And so I'm doing I'm telling you, I have to learn to be a little more patient, I think, because I do like, if a game early on gets a little slow, I'm like, whatever. And I think I'm missing out on some good games because of that, but I'm glad I persevered with Witcher 3. But again, that was one that, it was really hard in the beginning, and so I gave up, and then somebody convinced me to try again. And when I went back, I literally had to start over, and it made more sense.
Okay.
So, but that game has been, I have played that one, I think I said at least 600 hours. So when I went to I applied for a freelance writing job with that gaming website, and they said in order to be considered an expert at a game, you had to have played it for at least 200 hours. And could I show that I have played that at least 200 hours? And I went on my Xbox and looked at how long I'd played it, and it was over 600 hours. I figured it out. It was like 30 days. I was like, probably should be doing something different with my life. Man. But that game is amazing. That's cool. And there's so many different choices you can make throughout the whole game. And some of them do affect the outcome, and there's basically 3 main outcomes for the main game. And I got the worst one the first time. And I was like, this stinks so much. So it's all based around the premise of Witcher 3 is that Geralt is a witcher who's a monster slayer, and boys are actually taken to be trained as monster slayers as young children, and when they go through the mutations to make them have like super strength and stuff, only 3 out of 10 boys will survive that. Oh. So it's actually kind of dark, and it's based on a series of novels that there's actual source material that's very in-depth. So there's a lot to draw from, and they used a lot of it in the games. So he actually, and it's not really explained in the games, but I read the internet, so I understand. But Cirilla is his ward that he helped raise. She was actually like a princess, and but she was his child by surprise. So witchers could ask for, give me that which you have at home but you don't know that you have. And it turned out that the person he said that to, their spouse was pregnant. And so that became his child of surprise, by the law of surprise or whatever. So she was like his destiny. There's a lot of like about destiny weaving together, and I mean, it's fantasy, but it's really good. So this game, he knows she's in trouble. She's grown. He knows she's in trouble. He's trying to reach her and save her, and so a lot of the choices stem around. You do eventually get reunited with her, like halfway through the game, or a little over halfway through the game, and then a lot of what happens at the end has to do with how you interact with her.
Oh, cool.
So the idea is, I don't know how much, I'm not going to spoil too much for you. Do you think you'll ever play this?
I would like to.
Okay, I'll try not to spoil too much, but I will tell you, don't coddle her,
All right.
or you get the bad ending.
All right.
So my idea was like, I'm supposed to be the father figure. I'm going to protect her. I'm going to do all this stuff to protect her, and you're not. Don't do that. Let her learn to fly on her own.
Okay.
So, I was like, so bad. And then there are two good endings. Now, a lot of people consider the one where, well, no, I don't want to ruin it for you.
It's fine. It's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one where basically she dies.
Okay.
So, and Geralt then also dies because he's depressed and he goes and basically starts a battle he cannot win.
Ah, okay.
So,
That's cool.
like monsters are like coming in on the scene, and he's just sitting there because he's all sad. He's got the sads, which understandable, I guess, because that was like his daughter. So, then there's one where she becomes empress.
Oh.
Because her father wants her to, her mother's gone, but her father wants her to take on that role. And if you make certain choices, then she will do that. And then there's one where they tell her father she died. They lie, they say she died. And then she goes on to be a witcher, basically.
All right.
So,
is there a canon ending?
No, a lot of this takes place after the books, from my understanding.
Okay.
So they just took like all that great source material and then just like kind of continued it on.
Okay, cool.
So there are a lot of things from the source in there that are kind of canon, but and I think people really like the show, but they also, people who like read the books have some gripes with the show too because they didn't stay as close to canon as they could have. And I'm actually surprised because Henry Cavill was so involved in so many parts of that, and he's a fan, like a genuine fan. He played Witcher 3, and he played it on Death March, by the way, which is the highest level difficulty.
Ooh.
Like, I don't think he did it the first time, but I think one of his playthroughs he did it on Death March, and I was like, more power to you, brother. I was just telling Sage earlier tonight that I've been playing it on the Sword and Story. There's like just the story, it's super easy, and then there's Sword and Story, and then I think there's like 2 other levels, and then Death March. And I'm on Sword and Story and getting my butt handed to me. Like, I can do it, but it's a lot more of a challenge. And the Death March people are crazy. Like, I see a lot of people online when I like my Reddit forums and stuff, and they're all like, yeah, this is what I do for Death March. And when I was writing for that gaming website, I wrote about Witcher 3 a lot. And so I had to do a lot of research about like Death March and stuff, and what, character builds would be best for Death March. And that's honestly, when I'm normally gaming, that's not the kind of thing I think about. So if you're talking about which character build would you not be a stealth archer in Skyrim, see, I never thought about it that way until I started writing for that website. Then I'm like, oh, these are builds? I didn't know that was a thing, but it is. Like it.
Yeah.
I did have my friends when I played Borderlands 2, and I'd play online with them. They would sometimes be like, okay, we're going to respec all your skill points, because we need you to have this build because we're going after this big boss. And I'd be like, well, just tell me what you want me to do, and I don't care. Like, I don't know what all this means, but if you say it'll help, I'll do whatever you want. And he'd be like, okay, you want 2 points here, and 2 points here, and 2 points here. And that's just not ever the way I've played, but it is, it does help.
Yeah.
So if you're going to play something like a Death March level of difficulty, you better know what you need to do for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, but Witcher 3 is just, I know I've gone on about a long time about it, but it's really good. It's a great game. There are things about it I don't like. I think there's too much, not to sound prudish, but there's just too much sex. You just don't need it. But you can actually skip. You can still have the romances and skip the sex scenes.
Okay.
So, and in fact, that was the way I was playing it this time, was to specifically skip all the sex scenes just to make sure that was possible when I went to talk about it next time. Like, you can genuinely do that and even still have the romances going on. So, and those are some of the other choices. You could choose who you want to romance, and it's, people are Team Triss or Team Yennefer. It's very, they're very stringent about it.
Okay.
But Team Yennefer, by the way. Always Jennifer. She's just...
Sure.
I like her.
Okay.
Didn't at first. She grew on me. But,
Okay.
yeah. So, anyways, that's my list of my top 5. I've taken a long time. Sorry about that. But we do want to take just a couple of minutes to talk about our... Did you say you had 3 of our least favorite games?
Oh.
Do you remember them now?
No. I didn't write them down. I will say Shaq Fu.
Shaq Fu was
Shaq
on
Fu was
so
terrible.
many lists. I've never played it, but
It
I
was
was like, this
so
must have
bad.
been awful because it came up on every list. Shaq Fu.
It's like, it's beautifully bad. You know, it's man, I was like 6 playing it and thinking, this game is terrible. But still playing it.
I don't know anything about that game.
It's just like a fighting game, just like a Mortal Kombat. It's like a clone, but like
It just wasn't as good
just not good
at all.
at all.
Like I said, it was on all kinds
It was
of lists.
hard. It was hard.
Okay, so one of mine was, I loved Xena Warrior Princess in the 90s. Okay, I loved that stupid show so much. And there was a PS2 Xena game.
Awesome.
Now, I played it. In retrospect, I'm like, that was a terrible game. It was not good. Now, I almost picked for my favorites, the Lord of the Rings Return of the King. There was a PC game that was Return of the King that was actually really, really well done.
Okay.
Then I'd say it wasn't in my top 5. But the Xena game, not so much.
So the Spartan says to the Roman, when the chips are down, the buffalo is empty. Get it? The buffalo is empty?
I think you need to work on another ending for that story.
Did you have another one?
I think I've got one. I'm giving it a quick Google. Yeah. I've got one more.
Okay, go with your next
It's
one.
called Dishonored.
I've heard of that.
And it was, I believe it was a Bethesda game. And it was supposed to be really good. And there's like moral choices you can make. And I absolutely hated it.
Really?
It was gifted to me and I felt so bad for not
A
liking it.
lot of people like that game.
I did not enjoy it.
And that's why I know it. Like, I've heard people talk about it being a good game. But what did you not like about it? Was it the moral choices you had to make, or
No.
the gameplay?
It was
or...
it was just the gameplay. Like, I could see why some people would enjoy it. But it was almost too loose, if that makes sense. Where there wasn't, I felt like I didn't have clear direction.
Are you okay, Mother? You seem sad.
Yes, don't worry, darling. Mother is fine.
On it. I did not like it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I added a game as like one of the worst games, but I have to give a caveat to this one.
Okay.
I liked it, but I
Right.
probably should not have.
Okay.
It was a game called Redneck Rampage.
I remember that game.
Did you really know
I
it?
remember
Most people
that
have never
game.
heard of it. Redneck Rampage was the campiest, grossest game. You were a redneck, and aliens were trying to invade your town, and you had to fight them. And you had to fight them with stuff like, you know, shotguns and stuff. But also, like, to get health, you'd have to eat moon pies. And do you remember? Like,
I never played it.
Chew tobacco and eat moon pies. And, I mean, it was so campy. It was not an easy game either, by the way. Like, it was really horrible. I cannot remember enough. I'm pretty sure by today's standards, it would be considered extremely offensive.
Awesome.
But at
Awesome.
the time, I thought this was the funniest game. And they were like, y'all, pardon this expression, but there were turd monkeys. And they literally, like, were little monkeys that would literally throw poop at you.
That's awesome.
It was so gross and so funny at the same
That's
time.
awesome.
I had at least one of my nieces hooked on that game. I was a horrible aunt. I'm such a bad influence.
Sounds like you were the cool aunt.
I was, but that made me good. But that game was that's on my list of bad games because I'm pretty sure I shouldn't like that. But I'll give kudos. It was actually a pretty decently hard game.
Okay.
Like it was challenging, but you could beat it. But yeah, you were trying to kill the aliens, save everybody from being abducted by aliens.
That's hilarious.
So those are my two.
In that vein of good games or games that you liked that weren't necessarily good, Metal Gear Solid 5. Which is in my favorite series of games. Great gameplay. Phenomenal. Fantastic gameplay. But that's when they fired Hideo Kojima.
Oh yeah.
And he didn't have creative control over the story. And I've never finished it.
Really?
I've never finished it.
So
Never
the story
finished
just went downhill.
Well, the story was okay, what you could make out of it. But then, like, you had to go and replay missions to progress the story, which I'm like, this is stupid. I already did this. But then you have to do it hard on, call it the subsistence level, where you don't even have guns or anything like that.
I've played games like that before.
And it's like, this is dumb.
I don't like that. Don't make me play the same thing over again, only with a different level
Yeah.
of difficulty or something. I've done it. I want something different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
yeah. I don't like that at all.
So that was, yeah, I remember the mission I quit on because I couldn't get past it. 'Cause it was stupid hard. It was hard normally.
But I really do think sometimes, like, games cheat.
Yeah, absolutely.
They cheat.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm like, there's no way that I had this high of level of whatever I'm using against this low level enemy, and this low level enemy just killed me for no reason.
Right.
Like, come on. Come on.
Come on.
Yeah. So anyway, well, that's it. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this. We'd love to see your comments. Which are your top favorite video games? Were there some on our list that you're like, you've got to be kidding? And some on our list that we didn't like that you're like, those were awesome. What's wrong with you people? Has anybody else heard of Redneck Rampage? I'm interested to see that. I'm going to have to go do some more research. to
I wonder
see.
what we missed.
Yeah, I would, like, of the good or the bad?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there are a lot that people are going to say, I can't believe you didn't include XYZ. So that'll be interesting to see. So leave us a comment, and also remember to like, share, subscribe, all the things you're supposed to do on social media. And until the next time, hang tough.